It's a dark video, so I'm thinking a dark lip, right? Okay, no one talk about how old this is. No one talk about how old this is. I could have used a mirror. Rock. Hello, friends and foes. Figure out who you are amongst yourselves. My name's Tony. I'm an interdisciplinary artist based in Pennsylvania. And today I actually want to talk to you about something that's not art related. Something else about me is I really love the paranormal, the supernatural, the spiritual, the unknown. Love that stuff. So today I want to talk about how back in October I went to Zak Bagans Haunted Museum in Las Vegas when I had a layover. So basically the story is this. We went out to Washington last year at the beginning of October. We were flying home about 10 days into October, and we had a layover in Las Vegas, and it was like an 8-hour layover. And I was like, well, I don't know what you're doing, babe, but in this 8 hours, I will be hanging out with demons and ghosts. That's what I'm going to be doing. So I hopped in an Uber, left my boy in the Las Vegas airport, said adios, okay, and went to Zak Bagans Haunted Museum by myself. You just got to do what you got to do sometimes. On the way there, I actually had a really beautiful conversation with the Uber driver. I was like enlightening his world. He was enlightening my world. It was just one of those really beautiful moments where you meet a really cool stranger and connect with each other. And I love that you get to do that specifically in Uber situations. Like, I feel like Uber situations are either you're going to have the best connection of your life with this person, or you will be afraid for your life and you will be writing some report and or dead. That is the Uber experience, I feel. Interesting. But I had a really great time just chatting with this Uber driver, and then I show up to the Haunted Museum. It's like gated in. I'm like the only one there, really. There's like signs, there's kind of like a backpack area, there's like a security guard. He's like, oh, you have a backpack, I'll take your backpack, we'll like keep it for you. I go, cool, okay, hand that over. And now I'm backpackless and alone in Las Vegas at a haunted museum. My self-preservation skills aren't necessarily high. Oh, I will also say, this was months ago, and I'm trying to remember everything I can remember. I really wanted to write about it. I was going to write about it on Substack. And I started doing that, but then it just kind of fell away. I got really sick after the trip, and life was kind of hard afterwards. So like everything that I was planning to do after the trip, like I have thousands of pictures that I want to edit. I have writings that I wanted to do, etc. I just like didn't get to it. So now I'm like, there is a terrible truck outside. Oh my God. I'm filming. All right, let's try again. So, I will also say there are things I really enjoyed about it, and there are things I really didn't enjoy about it, and we'll get into all of that. And maybe you, if you've gone, have had the same experiences. And yeah, I'd love to chat about it, absolutely. And I'd go back. I will tell you immediately, I would go back. There are just some things that like aren't necessarily my favorite part of the experience. Let's just kind of get into it. So I show up. It's like an empty lot, the big building. There's like, they gate you in, okay? You are in this bitch when you're in there, okay? And I hand off my backpack, and there's no one else around, okay? So I'm walking through. You like walk through this little area. There's kind of some creepy statues. There's kind of like some water mist. There's like a little bar that's closed. You like walk into the space. You go to the ticket counter. You get your ticket stuff. And still at this point, I am the only one there. And I'm not early for my tour. I'm not early. I was like kind of running behind. And so I'm getting hit with this realization that, oh, I might be doing this alone. There's a real possibility that I'm going to go into this haunted museum by myself. No, that's not what happened. We waited for like 20-30 minutes maybe, just in the lobby area, and the lobby kind of has like a TV playing some things, and then a bunch of knickknacks, haunted things, dolls, pictures of past people, like Post Malone's picture is in there, and yeah, nothing was particularly scary about being in that first space. It was also really fun because I got to talk to one of the tour guides who's been a tour guide there for a really long time, and she was really cool, and she was talking to me about different episodes of Ghost Adventures, which was really fun, and we were talking about things that like really got to us versus things that like really didn't. That was really cool. At some point I like wander into the bathroom because I gotta go piss, girl, and there's like, bathroom's not creepy really, there's like a little diorama of like a haunted scene in the bathroom of like a woman in a bathtub. It kind of looks like Psycho, but I wasn't really sure that it was Psycho. Like, it just kind of had those vibes. Could be something else. I have pictures of all of this, so hopefully I will be putting them in there. So we get back out. Eventually there are people joining my tour. There are 5 of us and a tour guide, so 6 of us. It's me, 2 solo gentlemen, so 2 guys who were just alone, so there's 3 loners, and then this couple from Germany. There's 5 of us, and we go in. The other thing is you can't film or photograph in the museum, which I think makes sense, and I also think you wouldn't want to. It's so fast-paced. It's somehow very fast and very slow at the same time, this tour. It's like 2.5 hours. It both feels like it and doesn't feel like it. And you just, I don't think you would have time to compute, I want to take a picture, and now I'm going to, and take the picture, do whatever. I don't think you would have time. I don't think you would mentally have time to do that, because it's just so quick, and I think that's kind of intentional on their part. Also because there's so much to go through, right? That you really got to keep it moving. So we go in. One of the first rooms is like just kind of a creepy little room. They're all kind of creepy. I will remember. I don't remember everything. So I will just be pointing out the things that really stood out to me. We go in, they're like telling us about the history of some stuff, telling us about the history of the house a little bit. Eventually they get to a part where they're like, hey, there's this doll closet over here, and VIPs are allowed to go in. Or maybe everyone was, I'm not really sure. I had a VIP pass, so that means like you get to do a few different little things, or I'll tell you later, something else specific that VIP gets to do. But no one was going in. No one was like, oh, go into the doll closet. So my damn leadership skills kicked in, and I go, well, I guess I'll go into the doll closet. So I mosey my way in. Not too bad in the doll closet, I'll tell you that. I was like, okay, it's a bunch of dolls. Stop looking at me. Avert your eyes. I am not to be seen. So one of the first rooms that you really like sat in and listened to something about, like we sat in these chairs. It was kind of like a church almost. They weren't pews, but they were like wooden thrones basically, and you sit in this chair and you listen to a story. And so a lot of the times either the tour guide would be telling you what's going on, or they would play an audio of Zak Bagans like telling you the history of something. And so we listen to that, and then she goes, okay, VIPs, we're going to another room. But this time, if you're a VIP, you get to crawl through that little hole in the wall that leads to the other room. I get to what? Okay. And me being me, I knew we spent the money on the VIP, and so I'm like, well, I'm a VIP, and I'm gonna have to crawl through that hole in the wall. I'm gonna have to do it. So we're all just kind of looking around at each other like, you're kidding. And she was not kidding. There was no kidding involved in this. She was like, no, you're crawling through the hole. We're like, okay. So it's me and the German couple. I'm crawling through a hole in the wall of an old ass building in Las Vegas with a German couple. Okay. And I'm claustrophobic, so I was like not necessarily hyped for this part. I was not like, ooh, yay. Yay, I get to crawl through a little hole in the wall. But it was like a tunnel. It was like a little tunnel, like one of those play tunnels in a playground where you like crawl from one end to the other. But it was dark. I mean, it was dark. And we're like human centipeding it through this hole in the wall, okay? Crawling. Hoping the demons don't get us. We get through there. Honestly, don't even remember what was in that next room. Don't remember. Again, there's so much. Like, there's so much in this museum. It's just a lot. And that is kind of the bummer about not being able to take pictures, is there's just so much. But we get through there. One of the next rooms was the, like, I'm going to call it the Playboy room, but that's not, I don't think exactly what I mean. It was like a room of like a pimp who was kind of just a piece of shit. And he had this bed. Apparently the bed is haunted. Bad energy on the bed. So Zak Bagans buys the bed. Okay? There's like blood stains on the bed because I think he was murdered in it. And that was very eerie. I was very much like, I don't want to be in this room anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. Please let me leave. Because there was also something so modern about it, whereas like a lot of the other things you can kind of like go, oh, there's a distance between me and that. With this, it was so much more modern, and that is kind of like unsettling to me. Also, I don't know. Beds are so weird because it's like we go to sleep in beds and we like are at peace there, and then we're resting, and then it's like, oh, you were murdered in your bed. Uh-oh. I'm like trying to remember things in order, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case at this point, just because it's been so long. So I think at this point I'm just going to say some things that stood out to me about the tour. Okay, wait, I just remembered one of my favorite parts. There's like a room that's circus-y themed. And I don't really remember everything about that room, but it was circus-y. There's like a circus wagon thing that also kind of looks like a funeral wagon. Like it's those big wagons that drive people around, okay? And I think the VIPs were allowed to go in there. And in the wagon, you guys, in the wagon, they have one of the, those teddy bear, like, buddy doll things. I cannot talk. Hold on. I got water. I can talk again. Okay. So, we're in this circus room. There's two of us. We go into the wagon, okay? There's like a wall with like a window in it that you look in past the wagon. But sitting on the bench of the wagon is one of those bear buddy dolls that, like, if any ghost touches it, they can, like, communicate to you through the doll. I love those. I don't know why. I love them. They're kind of creepy. They're very fun. I think they're cool. Don't know if they work. Don't really care. I just think it's inherently creepy, and that I like. So we go in there. He's kind of like asking questions. He's kind of talking. We're just like both existing, looking around. And the bear talks, guys. The bear talks. the bear talks. Like, it does a little giggle, it says something, and we both look at each other. He looks at me, I look at him, because we're close to it. And he goes, "Did you do that?" And I was like, "No." "Did you do that?" And he goes, "No." And I'm like, ghost, you, me, and the ghost in this wagon right now. You, me, ghost in the wagon. Okay? We bounce. But that was so cool because I love those things. And I don't even care if it was the tour guide pressing a button to make it talk. I don't care because I loved it. That was what I spent my money on. My boyfriend's money on. Now, these next two experiences, I think, kind of go hand in hand, and they both got to me in similar ways. There is the death bus. So he has I really wish I knew the names. I don't know the names. So there was a doctor, I want to say in the 70s and continuing onward, who had this van that he would perform basically like suicides in. People coming, they would press a button to kill themselves, essentially. And that he was like Dr. Death is essentially the idea. And he would do all of this in his van. They had it like set up so you could see like what that would look like. And it was not pretty. So that, in addition to the sort of serial killer room, where there was just a bunch of memorabilia from different serial killers, the death van room made me really sad. It made me really sad. It sort of talked about like, what did these people feel right as they pressed the button and realized what was going on. And so that brought a lot of sadness. But then this other room brought me so much anger. I was so angry in this room that I don't want to say it wasn't my anger, because I think I have a lot of anger towards the patriarchy and men and how we let particularly like handsome men get away with things. I remember looking at like this picture of Ted Bundy and just the anger. I was so angry, like beyond anger that I felt regularly, and I'm a very angry person. But I was just full of rage in this room. Like, I was pacing, I wanted to get out, I was mad. I was like, I'm going to fight Ted Bundy. I am going to find and fight Ted Bundy. We are going to throw hands, okay? Where is he? Because we're about to fight. Then there was also the room with the Dybbuk in it. And there's like sort of the speculation around like using these cultural pieces as paranormal things, and I don't necessarily want to get into that, because that's not, I don't think, necessarily my place. I'm not educated enough to necessarily talk about that. But the room was very eerie. It was a very eerie situation. And I didn't want to look at anything too long. Like, I was like, I can't stare at anything. I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I just don't want to look at anything too long. And then in that room, you're allowed to give it an offering, okay? And I didn't have much on me, but I felt it would be disrespectful if I didn't. And all I had was a cute little fidget spinner that my friend in Washington had just given me. And I loved it so much. I was like, this is the perfect size fidget spinner for me. It has 5 prongs instead of like the 3. It works so well. And I was like, I stood there. It was in my pocket and I was holding it. I'm pretty sure in this sweatshirt. I stood there, I'm holding it. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to give it. Like, I really just want to keep this for myself. And then I was thinking about it the whole rest of the tour. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, I should have given the offering. And eventually, I was still thinking about it once we got down to the gift shop. And I went up to the girl at the cash register and I was like, hi, can you do me a favor? And I said, hey, I wanted to give this in the Dybbuk room, but I didn't. And now I feel like I have to. So could you drop it off for me? And like I talked to her a little bit. I asked her like what her name was, or maybe her name tag was on, and her name tag was Charlesy, and that's not a super common name, but I know a Charlesy. I went to school with a Charlesy, and I was like, it has to be you. You have a connection to me now because of this weird coincidence that your name is also Charlesy. Please, like, take this to the Dybbuk box. And I emailed them afterwards because I was like, hi, I did this thing where I dropped off at the gift shop an offering for the Dybbuk box, and I wanted to make sure it got to where it was supposed to go. And they emailed me back a few days later, and they were like, yep, all good, we got it there. Thanks for reaching out to us and all this stuff. So don't even know if that's true. Don't even know if they actually got it there. But I did it. I tried. Thanks Dybbuk box, for letting me be in your presence. Now, this building was a house. So there were people that lived in it prior to this, and they were saying the house itself is haunted. And beyond that, the parents of the children that lived in the house were maybe performing some rituals they shouldn't have been performing in the basement. So before we go down into the basement, they tell you a little bit about the family that lived there and the rituals and stuff. So this was actually the only spot that I felt like I got such a visceral image in my head of a child walking down the stairs and then seeing rituals going on. And I think that was just because they had literally just told us that story. But it felt so visual, like it was right here. It was so visceral that I was like, yeah, I think that this happened. To the point that this room made me feel so much stuff that it's the souvenir that I got. So I got a portrait of the basement, and for all this is not how it's always set up. This is how it's set up for this dramatized portrait. But I got this to keep with me, and I don't know exactly what to do with it. I've been keeping it on a desk over there, but I always have crystals in front of it. I cannot leave this thing crystal-less. It needs protection. I'm not just letting it in my house, because that is the energy, you know? That's the energy. And I can't let it in. So I leave crystals in front of it. But I think this is really cool. I think it's really beautiful. But it's also a little creepy. But I love creepy. So. Oh, there was also I don't really always remember their names. I want to say Edward Gain is the one who lived on the farm, killed his mom, and did stuff with the skin. I want to say that's him. Not entirely sure. But, you know, they take you into this room, and there's like stuff hanging from the walls. There's like a shovel, and then you can look down. It's all very theatrical. I will say it's all very theatrical. Like it's all set design. And as a theater person, love that, big fan. They have like audio going. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the sensory experience of being in the Zak Bagans Haunted Museum. It's too much. It's too much. There's always some sort of background noise of some sort. There is like grumbling or whatever. There is lighting that's really dim and red a lot of the time. And then there's smoke. So there's a lot going on while you're also just trying to look at artifacts. And I don't love it. I get it, but I don't love it. I get that that's part of the experience. For me, if I could just go back from like 11 p.m. to like 7 a.m. and just be in the building without all the extra theatrical bullshit, I would do that. I would for sure do that. 100%. I don't know that I could do the tour again as the big exhibit. Just because it's so much. It's like very overstimulating. Which I think that is also part of the gimmick of the experience. Right? Adding to this sensation for people who are probably less actually interested in the paranormal. I think it's about giving this mood and this aesthetic and this environment to lean into the creepy, when it's like, yeah, babe, I just want to talk to a doll. Babe. So that was hard for me, I think. But if I could go back and you want to turn all that stuff off, I'd do it. Hey, Zach, let me in. One of the other moments that really stood out was the James Dean moment. He has a car. Someone says to him, do not get in that car. Do not get in that car. Do not get in the car. Okay? I think he dies in that car. Or maybe not. Again, not really sure everything that happened. But then they like can't find the car for a while, or they can't find parts of the car. But then one day they find like I don't know, it's kind of like T-shaped. I don't know cars because I hate cars. But it's like T-shaped, and they like have it in the museum. And they're like, this is the only found piece of the vehicle at this point, but it has like this long lineage of hauntings and deaths attached to it. And the whole idea that what is her name? James Dean was seeing a woman, Elvira, maybe? But she was like, yeah, I'm obsessed with you, dog. And he was like, well, I'm not obsessed with you. So then she curses him, and I think that's like part of the story. But that was really eerie too, and is a good segue into two things. One of the next portions was the demon house stuff. Y'all, I love the demon house stuff. I love it. I can see myself watching Demon House for the first time on my mom's bed in my parents' house, cuddled up, just enjoying the shit out of it and being terrified. That was one of the first times that I was like, oh yeah, actually demons aren't here to mess around, are they? Demons aren't chill. And so they have the stairs from the demon house, and I think some of the dirt in the museum. And they show it to us and whatever, and I was like, I gotta go, actually. I gotta go. So thankfully it was pretty fast paced at that point, because they were like, let's get them out of here. But I didn't particularly love it. And the thing about both of those exhibits is they both do the same thing, where a common theme throughout the building is, okay, the materials are actually behind a wall that then lifts up for you to see it. And a lot of the time they'll go, okay, if you don't want to see what we're about to unveil, you can leave the room. But you have about 0.5 seconds to do this before they lift that shit up. Because I considered leaving the room for the demon stairs. I considered it. I would have been sad at myself, I think. But I considered bouncing, because I was like, I don't know if I should see these stairs. I don't know if I should connect myself to whatever this thing is. But they go, okay, get out. And then they go, doors up. Baby, you didn't give me time. You did not give me time, honey. What? I guess I'm looking at the stairs now. Oh, spoiler alert. They hella jump scare you at one point. Yeah. Okay. Spoiler alert. So we're in the line, okay, and we have to go through this like little hallway, and it's tight. It's a tight hallway. And then some damn clown comes out, banging on walls and shit. I think he's got a knife. I don't know. He's screaming. And I'm in the back. So he's right behind me, and I'm pushing up against the guy in front of me. I'm like, you gotta fucking walk, dude. You gotta walk, brother. He is right behind me. Okay? And he goes, at some point he goes, you wanna get in front of me? I go, yes. Yes, I do. Let me in front of you. And that's why I told my boyfriend, I was like, that reason exactly is why you wouldn't like it. I think you could do the other stuff. You would hate that. Because I hated that. I hate that. I also wasn't expecting it, which is kind of the fun of it, I guess. But I was like, no, get this clown away from me. Like, why are you screaming, brother? Why are you screaming? I'm trying to look at creepy stuff. So, I would say, overall, I had a really fun time at the Zak Bagans Haunted Museum. I found it fascinating. There's so much story in it, right? If nothing else, there is so much storytelling to the point that I was like, I'm writing a collection of plays about this place. I haven't done that yet, but it's still, like, it fascinates me. There are so many characters and stories and high stakes that, like, this is good drama, okay? So I'm intrigued by that. I think overall, like, aesthetically, it's very well put together. It's very well curated. I think the pathways and how they do it, they kind of bring you different tour guides and bounce, to and fro. You meet different people. I really liked it overall. I thought it was time and money well spent. I thought it was really fun. I could go without the extra drama of the rumbling and the lights and the smoke. I could go without that. I get it, but I didn't love it. One of the other things that happened, which I don't know if this is just the building or what was going on, but in the circus room, and I think in the room before it, I kept like my body was vibrating. And I said to the tour guide, I said, are you guys vibrating? And there, two other people said yes. And one other person was like, no. But I was vibrating, and she goes, that's really weird because somebody else mentioned that. And I was like, maybe something's going on, or maybe you just have a speaker booming somewhere. I don't know. But I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, overall, great experience. Would do it again. Would mostly like to just be invited to come ghost hunt in it. That would be my preference going back. So, hi Zach, nice to meet you. Please let me come ghost hunt in your museum. Would love to. Overall, I think if you have the opportunity to go do this experience, totally go do it. I think it's worth it. I think it's fun. I think it's silly. I think it's exciting. I think it brings up a lot of emotions. And more than anything, there's a bunch of great stories held within this building that I think are worth sharing, or worth being told, or worth hearing. And I think that's really, really cool and really, really fascinating. Oh, and here's my little lanyard, my RIP all access lanyard. Do not enter. All right, well, that was my experience with the Zak Bagans Haunted Museum. Thanks so much for watching and listening today. I'm so glad you could join me. Again, my name is Tony, and it was so great to see ya.